AEW Dynamite starts off with MJ versus Ruth. MJ having his first official match back from being gone for about 6 months. His last match was at World's End against Samoa Joe. This match overall, it was a pretty solid match. Nothing too major. For a good portion of this match, Rouge was very dominant in this match. He was dominating MJF, had the upper hand for the majority of the match. Rouge had very good heel work towards MJF during this entire match, constantly talking to him, constantly pretending like MJF was a threat. At one point, he ended up ripping a fan sign. I don't know what the sign said, but I'm assuming it had something to do with MJF. He even started, cheating a bit with the referee when the ref was distracted. He ends up using a chair to distract the ref. He ends up getting some internet cables to start whipping MJF and start choking him out. Towards the end of the match, though, MJF started making a comeback. Rouge tries to go for a drop kick. MJF avoids the drop kick. He hits a spine buster on Rouge. Then he ends up doing a power driver, and then he ends up hitting a brain buster for the victory. MJF ends up picking up the quick victory here. Nothing too major. After the match, though, we get Age of Agony. They get on the Titantron. They talk to MJF, and they basically ends up mentioning that the EVPs ends up saying that he has a match at Forbidden Door against one of the members of Age of Agony. I don't know any of the members of Age of Agony because I just don't care for them. I don't watch any of their matches. They said it was apparently supposed to be the one with the Luchador match on. I don't know if that's going to be official. I hope not, because MJF should be in a more important feud, if we're being honest. I understand that they have little time to build towards MJF and Forbidden Door, but facing Age of Agony should not be on that list, in my opinion, even if they have a short amount of time to build up whatever they're trying to do. Next, we get Will Ospreay for Swerve Strickland. They have a promo, of course, building up their match towards Forbidden Door. Starts off with Will Ospreay mentioning what last week was Swerve saying that Will Ospreay cannot handle holding both worlds of the titles, having carrying the weight of having the international title and the world champion AEW World Championship. Will Ospreay, of course, ends up saying that of course he can do it. He mentions how he was able to do it. He carried 3 championships from 3 different continents at the same time. Then Will Ospreay mentions how pretty soon Swerve Strickland is going to remember why he's the best in the world. Then Swerve Strickland responds, ends up saying that he's the best in the world. He mentions his Kenny Omega, the match that Will Ospreay had against Kenny Omega, and how he needed help to beat Kenny Omega. Will Ospreay gets offended, ends up saying that he doesn't need Don Callis, he doesn't need the family, and that he could beat Will Ospreay on his own. And Swerve Strickland talk about how the title will eventually change you and how it will change your family dynamic, all that, and then he starts mentioning his son. Will Ospreay, of course, gets angry, and he got straight in Swerve Strickland's face and told him that don't ever bring up his son again. They was about to get into it, but Prince Nana ended up being the mediator here and ends up breaking it off. Then Will Ospreay starts leaving the ring. Will Ospreay leaves the ring. Then before they start playing his music, whatever, Swerve Strickland tells him to cut the music off, and he ends up talking to Will and ends up asking Will Ospreay a question. Ends up saying that he ends up asking, "What if I do want to make this personal?" Yeah, because before Will Ospreay ended up saying that don't make this personal with involving his family and his son. Swerve Strickland ends up asking, "What if I do want to make this personal?" It's always personal when it involves my AEW World Championship. And he ends up saying that send my regards to Al and Harry. Of course, Will Ospreay, gets angry. He gets in the ring and they have an intense stare down. I love what they did here. This is great. The promos, the segments they've been having is amazing. This is one of the best things in AEW as of right now. I love what they're doing here. I can't wait for that match. It's going to be very interesting to see how that plays out because I'm still mixed on who they would have win. Because you could go either way. You could go Swerve Strickland or Will Ospreay, but I'm very interested to see how that's going to play out. We get the Young Bucks versus the Acclaim in an eliminator match. This was also a very solid match. During this match, they was playing an Anthony Bowen's injury for the most part. Towards the end of the match, though, Nick Jackson was trying to attack Anthony Bowens with their championship titles, but the referee turned around right in time. He almost hit the ref, but the ref ends up catching him. Then as the ref is tossing out the championship belt, Nick Jackson tries to do the same thing, try to attack Anthony Bowens with his championship tag team titles, but he ends up accidentally hitting Matthew. Then, of course, the Acclaim ends up taking advantage of that, and then they end up picking up the victory here, and they will have a shot at the AEW tag team titles. Most likely going to be at Forbidden Door. I like what they did here. Finally, someone won a eliminator match, because typically they never win an eliminator match. I had a feeling the Acclaim was going to win this match, though, only because the Young Bucks don't have anything set for Forbidden Door. It doesn't, and I think I think everyone else outside of the Young Bucks have a match at Forbidden Door. So they need a match. It makes sense for it to be the Acclaim. They're not going to win those titles. They're not, because we all know they're playing a story of eventually the Elite having all the gold. But it would still be an interesting match to see, and I can't wait to see how that match plays out. Next, my mistake. I actually forgot to mention a match. The 8-man tag match between Kyle Fletcher, Takeshita, Roderick Strong, and Zack Sabre Jr. was also in the match versus Orange Cassidy, Mark Briscoe, Kyle O'Reilly, and Dante Martin. Not going to speak too much on this match. Towards the end of the match, Roderick Strong tries to, he goes for a running knee on Orange Cassidy, but Kyle O'Reilly ends up taking the knee for him. Orange Cassidy ends up hitting an orange punch, and they end up picking up the victory there. Nothing too major. Not going to speak too much on it. After the match, though, Jack Perry came out and attacked Dante Martin at the entrance ramp, then leave, and then Takeshita ended up attacking Mark Briscoe towards the backstage area. Don't know what they have planned there, but I almost forgot to mention this match. Nothing too special to really go over with this match. Next, get a quick little segment with Samoa Joe and Hook. They're about to attack the Premier Athletes. They try to go into their locker room, but the Premier Athletes aren't there. They was prepared for, and they leave a note. Basically, they leave a note saying that they will have a match on Collision this upcoming Saturday. So this upcoming Saturday, it'll be Hook, Samoa Joe, and I'm assuming Shibata as well. They're probably going to have a 6-man tag match, and they're going to face the Premier Athletes on Collision. Next, we get Toni Storm and Mina. They have their contract signing with Mariah May as like playing the general manager type role in this situation. It starts out with Mariah May mentioning how, how she loves both of them, that no matter what, I hope nothing changed, and how they could all be friends. Mina ends up telling Mariah May to shut up and that she needs to be quiet. And then Mina ends up saying that ever since Toni Storm became champion, that she has gotten soft. Toni Storm basically responds, ends up saying that don't ever raise your voice at Mariah May, and that basically she's going to retain her AEW championship. Then Mariah May tries, end the contract signing after they both signed their contracts. But then Mina takes the microphone away from Mariah May, ends up saying that she has to make a decision. She has to choose between her and Toni Storm. Then, before anyone can give an answer, Saraya comes out. She comes out with Harley Cameron. She comes out, and then she also comes out with Anna Jay coming from behind and ends up attacking Mina. And then Harley Cameron ends up attacking Mariah May. Then Toni Storm ends up getting attacked by all three of them, and then Saraya, Anna Jay, and Harley Cameron start attacking Mariah May. They're about to put Mariah May through a table. Toni Storm ends up trying to make a save. She attacks Alden with the shoe, but then eventually she tries to hit her hip attack onto Saraya onto the table, but Saraya ends up moving away, and she ends up hitting the table. After this segment, though, it's Mina and Mariah May. They're at the entrance ramp, and of course, Mariah May is hugging and she's all over Mina while Toni Storm is in the ring. So they're playing that story of Mariah May kind of portraying Toni Storm. They're trying to play on the fact that Mariah May end up choosing Mina. Interested to see what's going to happen in that match. I'm assuming they're going to have Mariah May interfere in that match as well, because there's no reason to play this whole story of she has to choose one of them if she's not going to be involved in the match, in my opinion. So I'm assuming she's going to be involved in the match. Most likely, she's probably going to choose Toni Storm, because I do think they're eventually going to pull the trigger on Mariah May versus Toni Storm for that AEW Women's Champion. Next, we got Chris Statlander versus Nyla. Not going to speak too much on this. I did not watch this match because we already know Chris Statlander is winning. This is the first match, the first round of the Owen Hart tournament for the women's side. We know Chris Statlander was going to win this match. She wins. After this, though, we get Willow Nightingale. She's on Titantron. She basically ends up saying that she's coming for Chris Statlander and that she's going to have her Owen Hart tournament match on Rampage, and that they're in the same bracket. So whenever she wins that match, there's nowhere to hide. Now, I think they're probably going to do something where if they do they may end up doing Chris Statlander versus Willow in the Owen Hart tournament, or they're going to have Chris Statlander cost Willow her match. But I do think Chris Statlander will go to the finals potentially with some type of heel shenanigans, most likely, though. But this is the build up on the potential feud and whenever they have their match between Willow and Chris Statlander. Next, we get Daniel Garcia. He has a squash match, basically. But after the match, he ends up getting attacked by Age of Agony. They end up attacking him. After this, while they're attacking him, actually, MJF ends up trying to make the save, but he ends up getting outnumbered. Then you get Will Ospreay. Will Ospreay ends up making the save. They end up clearing the ring. Then you get a sequence where the ring is clear. It's Will Ospreay and MJF. They start backing up against each other. They back their backs against each other, actually bumping each other, and then they look like they're about to fight. We know why they did this. They did this to put the tease out there that this match will happen. Does it make sense why they end up doing this? No, it makes no sense. Will Ospreay didn't really have to come out, but I understand why they did it. They did it to potentially, to of course, tease, because we all know this match will eventually happen. Now we get to the main event, Claudio versus Pac. This is another match I did not watch, mainly because I kind of knew who was going to win and I just didn't care. Pac picks up the victory here. It only makes sense. It doesn't make sense for Claudio to win to really advance in the Owen Hart tournament. Pac picks up the necessary win, and Pac trying to be on his redemption tour, so it only makes sense. And he's probably going to most likely face Bryan Danielson in the next round. Interested to see how this plays out. But yeah, that's the quick recap, quick review of this episode of Dynamite. You guys let me know what you guys thought. I thought it was a solid show overall. Nothing too special, but I thought it was a good show overall. You guys let me know what you guys thought of this episode of Dynamite. Leave your opinions down below. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. But yeah, that's it.